Across the city, Tenhut approached the pharaoh's palace, having rested on such conclusion that the conspirators had made their way back to their hidden outpost. It was of no importance to the Lord Commander, who knew it would be short time before he uncovered their whereabouts, brought justice, and made to serve a higher purpose, Tenhut considered, as he regarded his experiments. He walked up the castle steps, the main entrance into the pharaoh's primary place of power, as he sat upon his throne executing commands. The royal guard saluted as he passed through the doors, and as they closed, it was only his footsteps that could be heard. To the commoner, as always, it was forever in this place he could hear another symphony, slight magnetic frequency that sang through the reaches, to the likes of which only such an accomplished magicist could hear. As Tenhut drew nearer, faint whispers and cackles of laughter filled the throne room, and as Tenhut emerged from the hall into the large marble arena that was ATINATKEN's chamber, the pharaoh looked up, interweaved with darkness and light. Panels and bands of elongated lengths made of shadow and spotlight blanketed the scene. It was a marvel of a technology. The Winward, this place was a true exhibit of the transcendental now. Tenhut regarded the ambience and how it symbolized such timeless glory. He cleared such thoughts as he arrived at the base of the throne.
"Welcome, Lord Commander,"
ATINATKEN called.
"Leave us,"
he said quietly, and a small flock of advisors fled the room. One remained, the Waxbara, warrior servant, and Jazz stood silently with a nobility about him. "I trust you made quick work of Operation Arrow Shield. They must be running for the dunes, no doubt."
Their armies are eviscerated. Captain Mummius and his champion, Ashen Bound, are no longer among the living.
Was the leadership present?
Of, my king.
They must have fled. What did you uncover?
After the execution of Captain Mummius, I felt a strange presence. I followed in pursuit, but they concealed themselves well. I could sense 3 souls as I inspected the area, but could not clarify to any greater detail. They have made their way back into the city. Whoever this magicist, she is good.
It would be proper for you to go door to door through one vast assembly, but we must keep the public trust. We could travel this route, but we are not at risk anymore. The pharaoh shrugged. Nor have we since our beginning. I do not wish to deliver any grievance to the people. I know you will find them in due time.
That is correct, Your Excellency.
Tenhut breathed. You really are in your senses, Lord Commander. I am most pleased.
It was a small matter, my king.
I beg to differ. You exposed and derailed the heart of Arrow Shield. I presume only their commanders remain.
Only these conspirators remain. I assure you, all their soldiers and all their believers were on the field tonight.
Good. Please, tell the Waxbara how you did concoct such a grand scheme. Jazz stepped forward, fingertips pressed together, his eyebrows arched furrow, a plastered grin upon his face. He awaited Tenhut's reply.
Truly,
Tenhut began, now looking upon the pharaoh.
The Waxbara has no need for my report. He is tasked with only your direct needs.
It might only be conversation, Commandant. I know you want to return to your studies after more recent endeavors. If the Waxbara doesn't mind. Oh, your radiant scientist. Lord Commander, you know I admire your words. They glanced at Jazz. Tenhut held his stare as ATINATKEN looked to the fruit beside him.
If that is your wish.
Tenhut breathed.
It was the first moments of my departure toward Katashia with Scourge and his men, when the vision came. I knew the champion was more than capable of the job to be done, so I abandoned my involvement in Jayab's search and left the convoy. When I returned to Egyptia under the cover of night, the plan had formed in my mind completely.
Indeed, the magic serves you well, Jazz replied.
With leaked intel proclaiming the Pharaoh too would be leaving the city, guided by such small protectorate, Aeroshield thought their moment had come.
Tenhut said, staring at Jazz.
Their blind haste was their undoing.
He said, and you now stand triumphant in our many years' struggle.
Yes, my king.
What is your assessment of the rebel threat now?
I suspect the traitors are in blind stupor, scrambling, panicked as to how they proceed. They have not the means nor manpower to be of any effective threat. It will be but short time before they are found.
Yes, I see. Very good, Commandant. Jazz bowed.
It is a living thing, this magic.
It is all things, from the sky to the waters, and all things have bone and blood, Jazz said.
I sense there is more to such equation of life.
Tenhut said. ATINATKEN raised an eyebrow and focused more on the conversation than fruit in hand.
Within all is the one. I believe with enough direct focus from these deep states of consciousness, one can find this author.
Commandant, I do not wish to discredit your claim, Jazz began, looking up to the ceiling and the space above, as if his thoughts echoed over one vast display. But such a feat might take lifetimes. His eyes darted down to the Lord Commander, who stood observing, motionless. Even for one of such astute focus, such as yourself, Jazz said, looking at Tenhut before glancing away. I digress.
Augment your speak carefully, Waxvara. You know there are no limitations. In this House of High,
Tenhut said. Jazz frowned. This House of High, he thought. Those are a clear insult. Commandant, I have always valued, stood by, and found comfort in the notion that these heights are however tall we choose to place them. There is only magic and creative vision in this golden House of High.
Of course, Waxvara. No disrespect was given.
Tenhut said. Have you experienced this singular awareness? This author of the magic you speak of? Jazz said.
I have seen enough to lend favorable conclusions.
Tenhut breathed. That you have, Commandant. And more will be unraveled as our story progresses. Waxvara, ATINATKEN said, glancing over. Make preparations for the arrival of our champion's warband, who should return to us within the next set. As you wish, Illuminated One. Jazz bowed. He looked at Tenhut. Lord Commander, thank you, Jazz said, lowering his head.
In service to the Golden King.
Tenhut nodded. When Jazz departed down the steps, moving toward a hallway to the left of the throne, the Pharaoh stirred. Lord Commander, ATINATKEN said, rising. His arms raised slightly as he rose softly from his throne. Bands of elongated light and shadow changed his image with each passing micro-instant. Tenhut watched him rise as his hands fell to his sides, the Pharaoh's white robes coming to rest around his form. I would like to exchange a few more words with you before you return to your studies, he said, moving down the steps, beckoning him to walk beside.
What would you like to discuss, my king?
Tenhut said, as they moved to the hallway on the opposite side. It is the matter concerning Endgame.
What of it?
We have discussed this many times before, but the time is nearing. Many things will happen to us, new dimensions of realities, and the beings that occupy them. ATINATKEN seemed to squint into his own thoughts. I sense you will visit a time far beyond our own. There is much we will discover on our path to the Darklands, and once we arrive, it may break the sanity of the men, the Pharaoh said.
I see.
Tenhut breathed.
I have your solution.
ATINATKEN smiled, as I knew you would.
I will implement it with my spell that will allow us to see in such place devoid of all light and law of its function.
And we are of like mind, Lord Commander.
We are of like mind,
Tenhut said. How far along?
It is nearly done. Just a few minor adjustments. It will be ready long before our departure.
Excellent, ATINATKEN said. Your loyalty has carried over lifetimes, Administrator. I thank you. Tenhut stopped in his tracks, but the pharaoh continued on. Not even he was sure as to why he made such a statement.